So she went out and began to glean in the fields behind the harvesters. As it turned out, she found herself working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. As it turned out, what a great phrase. Now, if we heard that in the workplace, we would think about a project that somehow just came together. If we heard that at home, we would think about a situation that got resolved all by itself. Kind of day-to-day, regular situations and circumstances, not deserving of any special attention. But these words are in the Bible. And in the Bible, as it turned out, is anything but ordinary. Enter again the sovereignty of God. Let me remind you that as we do our journey through the Bible, everything we're reading is telling one story, the story. And the story is about God's plan to pursue you and me and to bring us into a relationship with Himself. Well, as it turned out, Ruth ended up working in the field of one of Naomi's relatives. Boaz, the owner of the field, was pleased to have Ruth there and told his workers to make sure she was well taken care of. Boaz had heard about the commitment that Ruth had made to Naomi and was treating her well in return. At the end of the day, Ruth had been well fed and had plenty of food for her household. Naomi was thrilled to find out that Boaz was the owner of the field where Ruth had been working. You see, even more than being a relative, Boaz was a family guardian, a kinsman redeemer. In those days, in order to keep inheritance in the family of a male who had deceased, another relative would come and take on the responsibility to keep that family name alive. It would be the responsibility of the family guardian or kinsman redeemer to take on this selfless act. You see, the guardian would take on the responsibility of the family and yet not have any personal gain from it. Actually, he would take on a liability to care for the family and its property for the name of someone else. Then Boaz said, "On the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of the deceased, in order to raise up the name of the deceased on his inheritance." The closest relative said, "I cannot redeem it for myself because I would jeopardize my own inheritance. Redeem it for yourself. You may have my right of redemption, for I cannot redeem it." Naomi knew the significance of the role of Boaz as kinsman redeemer, so she devises a plan where Ruth will go and present herself to him. In what seems an unusual exchange, Ruth basically proposes to Boaz, to which he indicates his willingness to accept. Now, in a scene that seems somewhat provocative, we need to understand the nature of those that are involved. Both Ruth and Boaz were known as people of honor and integrity, and they maintain this character even through this entire exchange. Let's revisit the sovereignty of God for just a moment. You see, Ruth and Boaz would have a son named Obed, and we only hear about Obed in two places in all of the Bible. Here, where he introduces their son, and then not again until we read in the Gospels about the lineage of Jesus. Both Matthew and Luke speak of Obed as the one who came through that lineage all the way to the person of Christ. You see, Obed would have a son named Jesse, and Jesse would have a son named David. It's this David we're going to get to meet in just a few chapters. David who would kill a giant named Goliath, and David who would become the king of Israel. To David, God would promise that there would always be someone from his family on the throne in Israel, and that promise was kept through the person of Jesus Christ. Ruth gives us a great picture of what commitment looks like, and it's this type of commitment that needs to make its way into our relationships, our marriages, our families, ultimately into our relationship with God. Boaz shows us what it means to commit yourself, to carry out responsibility, even in ways that mean giving up yourself. And through it all, we see the strong, sovereign hand of God across the pages of the story.